Hey guys, Tyler from Independence Overland. On this channel, I go over all sorts of camping gear, overland gear, off-road gear. And so if that's of interest to you, please consider subscribing to the channel. I also put up some adventure videos from time to time. Now what I'm going over today is the Zero Breeze air conditioner. And I've been begging these guys for an opportunity to check this out for a long time, all the way back to the first generation of what these things were. And finally, I got an opportunity to do so. Now, in full disclosure, I did not pay for this AC, but I'm also not obligated in any way to tell you that it's the greatest thing on earth. I will tell you exactly what I find with this thing and what I think of it. You can camp, of course, and just tough it out, sleep miserably in your tent whenever it's 90 degrees at night. But I'll tell you what, I will sleep a lot better with this thing. I do Utah in the spring, and then once May is done for, I pretty much don't consider Utah an option until fall because it's so hot down there. This isn't a swamp cooler, this isn't an evaporative cooler, this is a full-on air conditioner. One of the coolest features about this thing, in my opinion, is that it looks like a weapon from the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that comes with the battery. The battery is this standalone unit. It can sit up, do its own thing without having to be on a battery. The battery is pretty hefty, it's heavy. It's a 35 amp hour battery, what do you expect? And then if you're not using the battery, you plug power straight into this. One thing to note is you cannot run this off of the battery while you charge the battery. Before I forget, so the battery packaging is a separate box, and it actually comes with a piece of foam, two pieces of foam actually, that have these circles in them that are already pre-cut out. So that's basically for, like this one's gonna be for my camper, and that is you cut it to shape, and then you have your ports for the exhaust for whenever you hook that up. So that's kind of handy that they did that. It's a smart thing to do to kind of recycle the packaging. It does come with this attachment for the outlet here. When I'm in the camper, I'll use it like this so I can point it up at the bed so it'll cool that area, because in bigger spaces, this is more of a space cooler. Just like you'd use a little space heater in the corner of your house, this is like a space cooler. Think of it like that. I have no doubts that this will cool my rooftop tent at night. Now, my plans for this air conditioner are sleeping. I'm not really that worried about using it in the day. I'm not positive and I'm not confident that this would keep the Alu Cab, a black aluminum tent in the sun, cold during the day. I'm not counting on that. So what I am counting on it for is to keep the temperatures down when I'm sleeping at night. When the sun's down, not beating on the tent, I think this is gonna do amazing. It's got a little air filter down here. It doesn't have an actual like filter in it, but that's just to collect dust, and you can pull that off and clean it out. There's a quick slip-on hose for the water drainage. Now that is going to need to be sticking out of the window or something of the tent. Because you want the moisture to drain out of this thing, of course, you don't want it going all over your bed. You need to have this thing propped up a little bit, or at least in my case, my windows in the Alu Cab are gonna be about flush with it. This does have a really easy quick connect system to attach the ducts. These are what you're gonna port out of the tent or out of the camper or whatever. If you're using this in an open space, you don't need the ducts. Like if you're using this as a spot cooler sitting outside, you don't need the ducts. But if you're using it in an enclosed environment like a tent, you're gonna wanna put these out of the zipper. I'm going to be using this thing with both the 110 power brick, and that's when I'm in a campsite, I'll just have it plugged in. That way I can just enjoy having an air conditioner. But there's gonna be nights that I don't have access to a 110 power port. At no point do I plan on getting a generator for this setup. You could do that, but I don't plan on doing that myself. Now, the reason I was attracted to this whole setup is because it's powered by a lithium battery. My Red Arc system with the solar panel and DC to DC charging will charge my house battery, my Battleborn battery that's gonna power my fridge and all that stuff like it always does. It'll charge that up in no time. The rest of the day, my solar energy or my driving energy can go directly to this while keeping that battery in the FJ topped off as well. So I'm not worried about that portion. Even though I only have a 50 amp hour in there, I have 165 watts on the roof, so it should be able to charge this system and keep that charged up as well. Okay, so you turn your battery on, you power this thing up. So it takes about 10 minutes for it to reach 30 degrees below ambient temperature. Whatever the temperature is, it should be able to cool it 30 degrees below that. You turn this thing on, it has a fan mode, it has a rocket ship mode, which is basically full power. I assume the little frost button here is gonna be just for turning the thing on to air conditioner mode, regular air conditioner mode. And then there's a sleep mode, which is gonna turn everything on ultra low, so you get the longest time out of your battery. And I assume that's the 5-hour rating that they share online. And then the other thing is there is a light on the front of it in case you need that. Now this duct does move around a little bit, but if you want full articulation, then you will bolt this little thing on. It's just got 2 little Allen screws. If you're just using your rooftop tent, like what I'm gonna be doing for this trip, I will only use this. I'm not gonna carry this along with me. Now with the camper, when I have more space and I need it to point up at the front bed of that thing, then I'll bring this along because it'll work more like a spot conditioner. So my plan for this is I will sleep with it. I'll go to sleep with it just like it is with the battery attached. And then in the middle of the night, if it turns off and I wake up uncomfortably hot because the tent's heating back up, then what I'll do is I'll just unplug the back here, and I've got a 12-volt converter plug coming, and I'm gonna test out how well this thing works off of just the FJ's battery system. That's what I'm trying to figure out, is if I can run this off the battery for 5 hours or so, and then by the time I wake up uncomfortably hot, I can plug in the other cable, turn it back on, go back to sleep. I'm curious how much that's going to deplete my battery. Because of course I don't want to deplete my battery to the point that my refrigerator shuts off. You can't just plug this in to a 12-volt cigarette lighter port and get away with it. Now, something to note with the 12-volt system that I ordered, the 12-volt converter, is it won't plug just right into anything. It has to be a 12-volt socket rated for 25 amps. I believe 25 amps is what they have listed. It comes with a cigarette lighter port on one side of it, and then you'd have to wire in a 25 amp fused circuit into your vehicle because your factory one is rated for like 5 amps. This will burn that fuse up, burn the wiring up right away. So I'm gonna run an Anderson plug to that. I'm gonna cut it off, just wire an Anderson plug, and then I will have an Anderson plug for the FJ, and then I'll have an Anderson plug for the camper. So anytime I take this, I can just plug it right into that. I will know that it's rated for that output, and then I can keep an eye on how much power this thing is going through and be able to see exactly what I'm up against. I know 100% that this is gonna cool down the alley cab while I sleep. I have no concerns with that at all. The camper, it's gonna work great for when we're sleeping. It'll cool off our whole bed area. I don't think I'll be able to fit this with me, Natalia, and the dog in the tent. We all cram in there usually anyway. I don't think that's gonna happen. If you have a flip style tent, you have more room than I have, and you can probably get away with that significantly easier. Okay, so I have this thing powered on. You just hit the power button there. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 LED light there that tells you how much charge you have, and then you have a big red light on the back. When you power it up, it'll turn blue and it'll start running. It's got a built-in thermometer here, and what that's reading is the actual temperature coming out of the vent. Something that's listed inside the manual is if you are off-roading, bumping around, or if it's just gotten shipped, set it down and let it sit for 30 minutes. So we started at 81 degrees. Let's see how low this thing goes. The other benefits I see in this are for traveling with a dog, which I am always doing. This is going to make that process a lot better and a lot safer. I'm always taking the risk of things getting stolen when I travel with the dog, because if I run into a gas station or if I have to run into a grocery store to restock all my stuff, I have the dog with me and it's going to get too hot in the car. With this thing, if I have a fully charged battery and this proves to be reliable, I can, and I still will not leave the dog in the car for 2 hours in the sun, of course. If I can point this at blue while I run into the store for 10 minutes or so, it's gonna make me feel so much better, and I will do those tests, of course, before the dog's inside. I'll have these going out the back glass, which you can't get to most of my stuff from the back glass, nor can you unlock the vehicle. So I'll have those going out there. I'll have a cold vent blowing on the dog, and she will be comfortable while I run into the store. I'll still be quick, don't freak out. I'll do some more testing with the tent. I'll do some testing in the future with the camper, and I will let you guys know what's going on with this thing. But I think this is gonna be really cool. Now, as far as cost is concerned, when you look this thing up, they are expensive units. If you price a generator and a different type of AC that isn't quite as designed to be portable, you're pretty much looking at pretty close to the same amount of cost. And this is a smaller unit, won't take up as much space, optional with the battery. It can go between the rooftop tent and the camper. So I think for my personal use of having both ways of camping, this is the better option for me. I think this thing is gonna be perfect for my setup, and I'm very much looking forward to using it. So stay tuned for what I've got coming next with this system. It's gonna be pretty cool. It should be a cool review. And if you like this kind of content about camping, overlanding, off-roading, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out. And I will continue on with testing this thing and keeping you posted on what I find with the system. And I will be completely honest about everything I find. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that like button.